It looks like we have 4 little figlets on this Floria, Italian or French fig. What was this, an Italian fig? I can't remember. Wonder if this fig tree is even big enough to hold fruit. That's neat that it's putting fruit out. So we had some of these bird poop caterpillars attack our white sapotes, and as you can see, he got that one, defoliated it completely. I got at least 3 of them off of here. I don't know why they seem to have preferred these over the citrus, but I did not kill the caterpillars. I put them on a citrus tree that has plenty of growth and leaves on it, so they're not going to be able to hurt those trees. But I don't know if that's going to come back or not. There's another one there and another one there. The cassavas and all are definitely starting to get some growth. They're getting really tall. That guy's probably 8 or 9 foot. All this rain and hot weather, I guess they really love it. Here's the 2 sunchokes here. That's in the super back area. That's raised up in sand here. It's probably 4 foot, 4.5 foot tall. So as I've talked about previously, a few weeks ago, we probably are going to start getting ready to wrap this season of the garden vlog up. It's a short season, just not enough new material, and it's hot. We had such a high failure rate with those mulberry cuttings and grass trying to do it late season. There's probably no reason just to spend money and time and stressing about, super high failure rates this time of year versus going back in late winter, early spring, and trying again. So on the last garden vlog, we did the reveal for the mulberries, that we talked about having such a high failure rate. And we're probably not going to get to every topic I plan to do this season for a variety of reasons. But I've been talking about an experiment previously, and I sort of gave you guys some hints. No one guessed it. So we can look at that right now. So the thing is, the hints we gave you, or some of them, was that there could be some stuff lost in translation from Europe and possibly other continents and countries, to English. And there are, as also said in that one video that we were talking about it, some things that have a similar name, and they are closely related, although not super closely related. So some of the stuff is probably talking about the super closely related grafts versus the close but not super closely related grafts. Now here we go. So we have a real chestnut here. Doesn't look great. Looks like it got some sun scorch or something. We're going to follow it down. There's a graft. What is it grafted to, though? And it's grafted to an oak tree. Now this isn't a chestnut oak. This is a chestnut. I don't know if it's a hybrid Chinese American, like a Dunstan seedling, or a Chinese, or some other hybrid. And I can't tell you what kind of oaks this is. These are swamp loving oaks, though. They're all over the swamp here. And a lot of, or at least there's some level of people doing oak grafts on red oak and maybe a few others, because chestnuts do not like the pH of certain soils. So they put it on an oak tree, and there's some level of successes. How high that success is, what's the long-term success, I don't know. What I do know is that some people have grafted and had like a 2 or 3 year take, and then the graft breaks off. And I don't know, Google searches, Reddit, whatever, gardening forums, message boards, someone suggested allow some of the original oak, like this here, to live on in your, when you're grafting it. So, it provides nutrients and stuff to the grafted thing versus being maybe at a mild level of graft or long-term compatibility, which may just kill this guy off in 2 or 3 years. So whether or not that is a thing that we should worry about, or that could give us a higher success rate, here we go. The early or short-term graft take or graft success rate wasn't really huge, though. I was hoping to get 8 or 10 successful grafts. I probably did 12, 14. Some of them I redid on the same rootstock a couple times, and most of them didn't succeed. And there were different types of oak trees. Again, I'm not an oak expert. I just know they're oak trees. So we put them on probably at least 3 different types of oaks that love this swampy, acidic soil, and 3 of them took. You see that guy that you just seen doesn't look the best, but at least one of these other ones looks pretty good. We'll look at that in a minute. These guys look way better. Look how glossy and bright they are. Different type of oak. So one here, one there, and here's the original oak. There's the graft on that one, and there is the graft on that one. So this is my oldest Dunstan hybrid, and I guess you may say, well, why are we doing this experiment? This is our post-mycorrhizal bed we put around that Dunstan. And since building that post-mycorrhizal bed on that Dunstan last season, it has seemingly done amazingly. But we started with 2 Dunstans maybe 15, 20 years ago. And you might say, well, that doesn't look like a 20-year-old tree. Guess what? Because it's been so stressed with the wet feet, and maybe, I don't know if it's pH stuff too. Probably not, because I think they like acidic soil. Because people, I think, graft them to red oaks to get them to more alkaline soil. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they do not like it like, maybe pecans like it, a little bit moist. They don't like it like a lot of the citrus like it, a little bit moist. So we grew these Dunstans out for years and years and years. They started blooming, but they were kind of short, to reach each other. They were probably 90 to 100 foot away from each other, maybe 80 foot. And at, 9, 10 feet or whatever they were not pollinating each other. And then all of a sudden, one year, one of them died. Too much rain, flooding, whatever. And the other one has not bloomed but like one time in years and years and years. And it has major dieback, or used to, until I built that post-mycorrhizal bed. So it's not growing super fast. When it grows, it has dieback. It does not do well. So as you guys probably know, I love to experiment with stuff. I've experimented with, things in the last 25 plus years where most of the stuff did not pay off. I even got haskap to bloom in Florida, which is probably the first time that has ever happened where it didn't get like cold stratified in, Alaska or something, and then come down here. Although long-term success, it didn't make it. A lot of the reasons why, the post-mycorrhizal or mycorrhizal beds, just starting from a mycorrhizal raised bed could be useful in flood-prone areas is that, it not only builds the roots up, 4 to 10 inches or whatever higher than the ground, but it gets that mycorrhizal fungal protection, in the roots to help combat bacterial root rot. Not only that, but by using these wood chips or mulch or whatever you have, you're adding a moisture, something to hold moisture for the roots when we have these bad droughts and stuff. Moisture holding abilities. And that could be good in other places that maybe are a little bit drier. But avocados, people are growing them in flood-prone areas now because of mycorrhizal beds. And they're saying that before, when a flood, hurricane, whatever, hit their property, half of their avocados might have got wiped out. Now it seems like those mycorrhizal beds are protecting their roots from having a mass die-off. Is it the same thing that could be killing chestnuts in wetlands? Is it bacterial root rot? Is there something else at play there? And of course, we have that other seedling we planted, what was that, this season, in another bed that used to be a compost pool, like a swimming pool, 8-10 foot round, that just had organic material compost down years and years and years. We took it out, planted it in there, so that should sort of act like a mycorrhizal bed. So far so good. So far so good with the post mycorrhizal bed on the one we just showed you. But what if we can have something that is graft compatible to something that already is used to these wetlands and floods? Will the top still like succumb to something in the soil, or does that root system from the original rootstock protect it? Is this, or can this be, a viable way to introduce chestnuts, possibly other types of graft compatible plants, into flood prone areas? If it could help with alkaline soils, my thought is, why can't it help with flood prone soils? Not everybody is going to be building mycorrhizal beds. Sometimes, they're hard to kind of mow around and keep up, and you might be in a HOA or some situation where, city code enforcement says, that's ugly there, what is that? Or it might be that you petticulture your own yard and you don't want that to stand out. All I can tell you is short term, I have 3 of them after so many attempts. And, I did cleft grafting, I did whip and tongue when I could, and I think I did a reverse cleft graft on some of the materials that was a little bit harder to work with. And I think the ones that took are all probably whip and tongue. As I said, I was hoping to have like 8 or 10 to maybe focus on each individual one, looking at them, and, maybe make a longer video. But, we got it out there. This is cool. This is something new we've trying. And maybe next year we'll try some more. And we can have, a higher percentage of short-term successes, so that we can keep experimenting, keep checking them out for the long term. If it starts producing nuts in 3 or 5 years and they're still alive and looking good, that would be great. I don't know if I expect that or not. I don't have any expectations. I'm just glad that some of them took. For now. I think I talked about this with one of the gardening groups, and I think it was a plant nursery. I don't think it was a UF professor or anything like that. He said, are they even close enough related that you expect a success, long-term success? And my answer is basically what I said here. That they're related, but not super closely related. And some people have reported short-term successes, and there's a graft failure in many cases in 3 years, 2 years, something like that. So I have no expectations